This is MakerGalaxy.
We're always talking about the future of design, the future of technology, the future of making. In a world where windowless air travel will give new meaning to flying by air. A world where coolers with embedded blenders have overtaken smartwatches for funding records on Kickstarter. How do we find the next big thing? MakerGalaxy is a show that explores the crossroads of design, technology, and the future of making. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Simon Martin, and this week we talked with Daniel Gindis and Isaac Atlas of FUGU. FUGU is a new take on luggage design that allows a standard carry-on sized bag to expand into a full-featured suitcase. We'll talk with Daniel and Isaac about everything from how they got their start in the world of product design, what tools they used to create an expanding luggage concept, to how they approached their upcoming Kickstarter campaign, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by the Objet 500 Connects 3 from Stratasys, the world's only color and multi-material 3D printer. Offering incomparably brilliant and consistent colors, plus transparent colors, the Objet 500 Connects 3 lets you create the most true-to-life modeling possible. Find out more at stratasys.com. Welcome, Isaac and Daniel. We'll get into the FUGU in a little bit, but before we do, we want to know, where can we find the best donuts on Earth, and what should we get there?
Basically, I used to like caramel donuts, but since my wife got pregnant, we only have chocolate donuts at home. So I've learned to like that too.
I would say the best donuts are at Melt Bakery, actually where you are in New York, 132 Orchard Street. It's south of the city near the Williamsburg Bridge. They have really excellent pastries, not just donuts, but ice cream and a lot of other really great things. If I want something creative that I may never see again, that's where I go if I have the time to spare.
Right on. Well, you guys are making me hungry now. So let's start from the beginning. Who are you guys, and what can you tell us about your background in product design, starting with you, Isaac?
I am 25 years old and have been an entrepreneur and industrial designer and have always loved to come up with new things. I got married 2 years ago, and 3 weeks ago I had a new baby boy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Right now I'm getting used to the fact that my family sort of forgotten me because everyone is obsessing over the little baby.
As expected.
Yeah.
And you, Daniel?
I basically come from the customer user experience side of things. I've worked on websites, apps, and recently also physical products. I did an undergrad in communication with a practical degree, also taking courses in marketing and film. And after I graduated, while I initially wanted to work in advertising, I found myself in the startup field, initially working on writing scripts and content, but then actually working on the products, making them more user-friendly. And that basically got me into what I work in now, which is improving user experience and making good scripts to do so.
Awesome. And so let's dive a little bit deeper. What sort of projects have you guys worked on up until the FUGU, which we'll get into in a little bit? But starting again with you, Isaac, since you've gotten out of school, what kind of stuff have you been tinkering with?
Well, I have a few products I'm working on. For example, one of them is a small product is a toothpick with dental floss inside. The toothpick is hollow like a mini straw, and when you finish with the toothpick, you can break it and pull out the threaded dental floss to get those spaces between the teeth that a toothpick cannot get to.
Fascinating. So is this for consumers or dental professionals?
It's for consumers. It's for everyone.
Excellent. So that's been like your primary focus, your primary project?
Yeah, this is one of my products. One of my smallest products. Some of them I didn't had enough time to register the patent yet, and I didn't find enough time to start working on them.
And it's also what you're going to get in return for the product.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then what about you, Daniel? What sort of user experience type stuff have you been doing up until the FUGU?
One of the recent things I've been working on was apps with cars, which is basically the last thing we're working on was an app which you could take a picture of your water tank in the car and see if you needed water. This for people who really didn't know much about cars. We also had checking tire pressure and certain other features. Some of them were actually working pretty well in the beta testing. But basically, you don't know anything about cars, you pull out the app, you take a picture, and you write in the model of the car, and it tells you if you need to improve something.
Awesome. And so now that we know a little bit more about you guys and your backgrounds, how did you guys end up meeting and ultimately creating an effective product design partnership?
Well, Isaac initially had the idea for a suitcase which can expand and shrink in size based on people's needs. And shortly after he had the idea, he wanted to improve on this suitcase and decided it wasn't enough to have this feature. If we're rethinking the suitcase, how are we going to do that? And he basically found me through a mutual friend. And from that point, we've just been toying around with ideas of if we could have a perfect suitcase, how is it going to work? Sort of the Mary Poppins bag of suitcases, if you will.
Okay, and so with that being said, the two of you are launching or are about to launch that suitcase on Kickstarter with the unique name, the FUGU Luggage, which no doubt comes from the FUGU expanding fish. So what is the FUGU Luggage? What is your elevator pitch?
Well, basically, the FUGU Luggage is a carry-on that expands to full-size check-in suitcase. We have added some really great additional features like the shelves that Daniel thought of, but that's the core concept.
Okay, and so how did you guys discover this problem space, or was it sort of spawned out of your own individual travel frustrations?
Well, it started a little more than a year and a half ago. I was on a business trip. My wife told me to take a large suitcase, and I told her I'll be fine. However, I went shopping, and no matter how much I pressed and sit on it, I couldn't get it to close. So I stood in line to buy that suitcase, and I realized that something here is wrong. So actually, that's when FUGU was born.
And okay, so Isaac, you're more of the engineering guy and the formula. So can you tell us about your product development process? I mean, how did you approach this design problem, and what sort of tools do you like to use when solving these problems?
Okay, so basically when I develop a product, I have a very organized plan and with clear steps. In this specific case with FUGU, the first thing we did is to look for professional help. Because I knew this is something big and I need to do it in the right way. It's suitcases, it has to be strong, it has to be stable, light and everything. So my brother mentioned me, Oron, he's an engineer and a partner in a company with experience of developing and designing products and who had also worked with luggage. Together, we put a team of developers who are really great to work with. We started building, after I made the core concept, of course, we started building a few prototypes. We tested innumerable different materials until we found the suitcase suitable materials. We used SolidWorks software to design the model, and then we ordered some plastic and metal pieces from factories around the world. For example, the plastic and metal we ordered from China. We used also the inflate walls for the suitcase, so we ordered them from a factory for surfboards in England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so this was all over the past year or so?
Yeah. This is all in the past year and a half, and shortly afterwards, we went additional input from a quality user experience expert. And so we found Daniel and added him to the team.
So Daniel, what were you bringing to the table during this time in terms of creating a narrative along the lines of what is somebody going to use this expanding luggage for?
Well, initially when I sat with Isaac and we went over the original script, he asked me, like, Daniel, we're rethinking the suitcase here. The dimensions are going to be different. The various applications are going to be different. If you could have the perfect suitcase, what would you want it to be? And my initial response of something perfect and ridiculous is Mary Poppins' bag. So, like, specifically, like I said before, like the line, the Mary Poppins bag of suitcases. And I was like, I'd want it to do everything. I'd want it to be a bed. I'd want it to be a table. I'd want it to be a hammock. I'd want it to be a closet. And I just and as I was saying the words, I began to realize that a shrinking, growing suitcase, which is the same annoying size that we sometimes have, isn't particularly helpful. And when we started doing the research, we found that most suitcases are really similar to designs people were using 30 and 40 years ago. So I'd say the application of the FUGU suitcases, first of all, one of the features I think is most interesting is that we made it wider and a different height, which you can use as a table if you pull a chair next to it. And the balance is completely evenly. So you can put things on top of it. You can use it as a laptop stand. You can use it as a makeup table. And all these different things, which if you make the suitcase a little higher and a little more square, can happen. So I would say that the FUGU is something which you can use to make travel more convenient, not just put it on the plane or have the flexibility with how many things you put in it, but also the functionality as you take it with you. I would say, just to add one more thing, is that if you can shrink your suitcase, imagine how much closet space you can save at home with 3 FUGUs as opposed to 3 handheld suitcases, 3 carry-ons, and 3 more, 2 or 3 laptop cases and a backpack for the kids.
Well, that is awesome. And it reminds me of one of my favorite movies, which is Up in the Air with George Clooney, and particularly the scene where he describes the art of packing for business trips. So you guys must have done a lot of packing and unpacking to test the final prototype. So tell us, how much can be packed into the FUGU when it is contracted, and then alternately when it's expanded?
Well, the suitcase will triple the capacity of what it can carry, from a maximum size of a carry-on to maximum size of a check-in suitcase.
Wow, okay. So a FUGU is a blowfish that can make itself larger, which is no doubt where your guys' name inspiration came from, as I mentioned earlier. But what about the actual design of the luggage itself? Are there similar self-expanding products out there that you kind of researched and used as inspiration for the final design of the suitcase?
Well, one of the obstacles that we faced was finding a method of making them shrink and grow in a way which was light enough yet durable. And that's actually one of the places where we got stuck pretty early on. But as far as inspiration, when we looked at the market, there are a few suitcases with accordion-like features, but they aren't particularly practical, and they really add only an inch or 2 in width. You may have come across the ones with the zipper, which gives you, let's say, another inch or 2 when it's a check-in suitcase, but that really isn't that much space, and it doesn't shrink that much. And others weren't very strong. Like once you would unzip it or make it in the accordion state, then they wouldn't be very stable. And while some companies have had tries to increase in size, we haven't found any that could actually make it 3 times the size and really make the carry-on suitcase grow with the same level of strength and support. And that's even without all of the other features that we have.
Excellent. And you kind of dove into this a little bit earlier, Isaac, but what were some of the challenges of designing a shape-shifting product?
When we started working with the lab, one of our main challenges was making it both strong and stable while keeping it low weight. We tried many different ways to do it, and a few points we almost stopped until we came up with the idea to develop the suitcase with with blowing air to the sidewalls. While most of the group thought it was a ridiculous idea. I thought it could work, and Daniel supported that we should at least try.
What are some lessons you guys have learned along the way about not only prepping for a product launch, but prepping for a Kickstarter crowdfunding launch, ranging from the actual product design development through to fulfillment planning and beyond? I mean, how have you guys approached your Kickstarter launch?
Well, firstly is the aspect of using visuals. Kickstarter requires that we need a prototype. So first of all, you have to build it and then make it do what we said and show in the video that actually does that. They have all these different requirements. So that was the first challenge. Regarding fulfillment, we also not only need to make it do those things, but say how long it would take and how much it would cost. So trust me, it's not so glorious when you're, going through various prices of drop stitch fabric in bulk to see how much that's going to work. And right now, our biggest challenge at the current stage is looking into very seriously giving an accurate time projection. We'd love to give a complete time frame and cost breakdown and so on, but for many of the things we're dealing with, we have no idea. We didn't think we'd be ordering things from China. We didn't think we'd be checking into the materials people use to make surfboards and taking the suitcase and sort of throwing it against the wall and seeing how it would last. So the fact is that sometimes we have no idea what we're working with. But on our website and on our launch page, we basically keep people up to date. We release new information as we get it. So the best we can offer the people interested in our suitcase is to be honest. And we hope they can understand that we're learning as well. And even though we have a basic prototype, we think that the final product will obviously be a lot better. But I guess they'll learn as we do in this, joint growing process.
That's awesome. And I mean, that's why Kickstarter exists. So good on you guys for being transparent about the fulfillment process. I'm sure it's going to work out just fine. But of all the crowdfunding platforms, why did you guys end up going with Kickstarter versus Indiegogo or another platform?
We have three main reasons why we decided to go with Kickstarter. First of all, there are more people on it. Kickstarter has 6 times the amount of people that Indiegogo does, and a lot of these others, I think the reason, a lot of people can't even recall their names if they know. In addition, Kickstarter specifies in creative projects, sort of like an innovative place for stuff which would be found on, TEDx. And we consider ourselves creative. We consider the FUGU creative, so we think this will be the place to go. And last is the aspect of patron trust. Because some of the other sites, you get whatever money is raised, even if it isn't enough to complete the project. So sometimes donors don't always get to see what it is that they donated towards. And for us, it's very important that we can deliver what we say, and we want to guarantee that if we hit it, we're going to do it. So this is why I think Kickstarter is the most natural choice for a creative and new and young product like ours.
So without a doubt, I am fully confident that you guys will get funded and perhaps even go viral with this concept. So with that being said, do you guys have any long-term plans after you get the fulfillment figured out for the luggage to work on other self-expanding bag designs, or are you primarily focusing on the FUGU luggage for now?
Currently, we're 100% focused on getting FUGU out there and to work. But of course, if this goes well, you can be sure we'll keep you posted, and you'll see some other stuff as well.
When can we expect the FUGU to go live on Kickstarter?
So we're hoping within 3 weeks to have the FUGU go live on Kickstarter. You can keep updated with us at our website at FUGULuggage.com. And we're hoping to offer all sorts of cool features to people. Like we have right now people who've joined up for a mailing list to keep posted. So as we said, we'll let you know as we know. But we hope it's going to go well.
One last question for each of you guys. As accomplished designers, product launchers, and go-getters, what is one piece of advice you can give our listeners who want to really push their own ideas out there and get things made?
Oh, first, don't give up even in difficult moments, and always keep your eyes towards the final goal. Even if you have a lot of experience, don't be too shy to ask for help and get some advices. I did that and made a huge difference.
Very well said. And you, Daniel?
I would say be honest with yourself about what you can and can't do. and also what you like and don't like. In today's age of 3D printing and the internet, the sky is the limit if you find the right team. The team aspect is what I've really learned here. I found that many people are afraid to imagine because they feel they have to be able to do everything. And if you aren't, but I would say if you're not afraid to put in the real time and effort, and once you look in the mirror and admit what you're good at, what you want, use the tools of our day and age to find someone who loves to do what you hate. And if you get that kind of a team, the sky's the limit.
That's a really solid answer, Daniel. Awesome. Well, Daniel and Isaac, thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck launching the FUGU on Kickstarter in a few weeks.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Objet 500 Connects 3 from Stratasys, the world's only color and multi-material 3D printer, offering incomparably brilliant and consistent colors, plus transparent colors. The Objet 500 Connects 3 lets you create the most true-to-life modeling possible. Find out more at stratasys.com. Thanks for checking us out today, and if you'd like to find out more about Daniel, Isaac, and the FUGU Luggage, head over to fuguluggage.com. I'm your host, Simon Martin. Stay tuned and check in with us next week on MakerGalaxy.
A production of EBD Media.